Some people climb ladders and some people build rooms. Ultimately, real growth isn't about rungs, it's about range. Today's guest didn't climb the ladder, she expanded the building. It's Event About It with Kati Quigley. Hey everybody, welcome to Event About It. I'm your host, Megan Martin, and our guest this week proves careers aren't ladders, they're floor plans. She started in associations, turned events into leverage, went wide across basically every flavor of marketing that matters, and somehow made quiet introvert leadership look super powerful. Welcome to the studio, Kati Quigley. So glad to have you here.
Thank you, Megan. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for asking.
I have to be honest, I'm a little bit fangirling here because I have followed your career for so long, was coming into PCMA as you were kind of making your move out of PCMA and the events world full, like more into the marketing piece. So I just have been so inspired by you for so very long.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you very much. It's been a fun career that I've had so far.
Your resume certainly shows that.
It's not been boring.
Absolutely. So I think one thing I want to start off with before we get into some fun games, I'm curious, like starting out in associations in the DC area, which is like the mecca of association world, before going into corporate, moving over to Microsoft, is there something that you learned in your time in associations that still kind of follows you now, or some skills that it taught you? Because you can flex both muscles. So I'm curious how you prepared yourself for that move to corporate.
Right. No, absolutely. It was a great way to start my career. I'm from Seattle and I made a move to Washington, D.C. to work for associations and to work in events. So I really didn't know anyone. And so I just jumped in with both feet to learn as much as I could about events, but also try and meet people and get to know the community that's in DC. And you're right, there's an acronym on almost every single building. Every association you can imagine is there. So I think the thing that I learned most about that still serves me well, especially going from association to corporate, is that to be really smart about how you spend your money so you're getting the most out of it. As you know, association budgets aren't as big as some corporate budgets. And
Sure.
so I think that training and that foundation that I got from being very thoughtful about every penny being spent and making sure I got the return has served me well through every other role.
I think that's a great lesson everyone could take away. I love
Yeah.
it. Okay, well, we're going to play a game called
Okay.
Keep It or Rethink It. I'm going to throw out some marketing beliefs, and you tell me if we're going to keep it or if it's time to rethink the approach.
Love it.
Okay, first up, event ROI measured only in leads.
Leave it.
Leave it. Okay. If marketing can't prove revenue impact, it doesn't deserve budget.
Keep it.
Okay. Brand and demand should live on separate teams.
Oh, that's a hard one to answer because right now where I am, I have brand and I have my coworker has demand and we are thick as thieves. And so I think it's great that they're in different places, but you have to have such a strong relationship with your partner. So I'd say keep it. Are those my choices? Sorry, I lost track of
Yeah,
my
you
choices.
can have a middle. You can have a
Yeah,
middle.
I'll be in the middle on that one. I think
Okay.
it can be both, but I really like the setup that I have right now. It works so well.
Separate with a lot of collaboration.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. The best marketing strategy is the one that scales the fastest.
But keep it.
Keep it.
Mhm.
Being the loudest voice in the room equals leadership.
Get rid of that. Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
Yeah,
Career growth means the next title up.
I'll leave it.
Leave it. You need a big personal brand to be successful in marketing.
I'll leave it.
Introverts have to act extroverted to lead.
Leave it. I thought so in the beginning of my career, and I realized that there's strength in that quietness.
I agree.
Yeah.
If it doesn't show immediate results, it's not valuable marketing.
Leave it.
Events belong in a silo instead of at the core of a marketing strategy.
Huge leave it.
Community is a nice to have, not a growth lever.
Oh, another hugely bit.
The deepest engagement you can have with customers happens online.
No. But I think that that's changing. I think you can have both, right? I think that the deepest is when somebody gets on an airplane and goes to an event. I've always believed that. But there is so much that can be done online now. And you think about the personalization through AI that you really can grow that relationship. There are people, honestly, that I've never met in person because of the connection that we've created online.
Yeah, same. I think there's so much opportunity there. So that was a lot of leave it's. What's one thing you would want to keep? Like, what's one thing right now on your team, your marketing approach that is absolutely working that you would keep doing as long as it serves you?
I would say keep learning. I think that's the most important thing. We just had a marketing strategy offsite where we had someone from G2, Tim Sanders, who's the chief innovative officer, and he was incredible. And he talked about how AI is playing into marketing and how much is changing. So I think that if you're not curious and learning, then you're going to get behind by tomorrow. And it's moving faster than ever right now. So think that for the keep curious.
Keep curious. That's a word that keeps coming up on every episode. Like, I think at some point we might have to rename the podcast and like keep the curious or something.
I love it. Yeah. Actually, and that's one thing that I always interview for. So when I'm interviewing someone, I listen to see how curious they are. It's not a question that I ask, but I think it's the way that they show up.
I agree. It's a great leadership skill, being curious. So last question before we move on to our next segment. You said that demand does not sit on your team. Where do events fit into your marketing mix?
So they sit on my team with brand. So my responsibility is brand, messaging, analyst relations, PR, creative, and events. And so it is part of how we show up in the world, from our messaging and brand to the way that we bring it to life at an event.
And is there a piece of event that also supports demand? Because I'm seeing a lot of a corporate events team moving under CRO and not CMO roles. So where is the crossover with events and the demand gen team?
So we have a rule that we will not do any events unless they are driving demand. They have to, it can be, in different places in the funnel. It could be anywhere from brand awareness to a lead, to a qualified lead, but it has to tie to it because everything we do needs to have a return. And so, and obviously sales at the end of the day is the return for a public company or a private or an enterprise company. And so, it has to tie. We can't just do an event because it's an interesting thing to do.
Yeah, I think more people need to tie their events into business goals for sure. I think that's why we're seeing event teams moving into demand, structures and marketing structures and not siloed teams anymore.
Agree. Yeah, agree.
Okay, well, now it's time for my favorite session, the Vent of the Week. Because sometimes the only thing tighter than a load-in schedule is our patience. So this is your safe space to let it out, all the pet peeves, planning pains, things that make this industry a little too eventful. So tell us, Katie, what irks you about events? It could be planning, attending. What is like your biggest pet peeve when it comes to events?
I think that there's things that, throughout my career that have come up that drive you crazy. But I think the biggest thing is being talked at, right? You show up in person and if you're being talked at, that could happen online. And you think, why did I spend the money? Why did I spend the time to travel somewhere else to be talked at? And even if it's just driving, across town to be able to do that, it has to be something that's engaging. It's like, what only happens in person, and don't focus on the stuff that you can do online because people truly live between the two now, in an equal way. So that's what drives me crazy. I'm like, I could just sit in a room at my house versus sit in a room in a ballroom if that's all you're going to do. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. And
it's the whole, like, this could have been an email kind of thing.
Right, exactly. And some keynotes could have been an email too, right? So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me.
Yes, and I have heard, there was a big industry event not that long ago, and a lot of people were saying the keynotes ran so long, like
Yeah,
45 minutes in of sponsor stage time, and they're like, why am I sitting here for an hour just being talked at instead of hearing something compelling or being engaged in the process?
right. I think there's room for innovation there, right? Because
Agree.
events obviously count on sponsorship to be able to run the event itself to make it better. So the sponsors are great, but to have that stage time is just, I think, a little bit archaic. So how is it that we can give sponsors, the return that they need without making attendees suffer through an advertisement at the beginning of a session? Yeah.
Completely agree. There's a few shows that are out there that are doing this pretty well, I think, and there are some doing it not well at all.
Right. Yes. We need to spread that best practice around.
Agreed, agreed. Okay, well, next up, it's time to event about it. It's the part of the show where you get to spill the tea on a memorable event moment. Whether it was a huge success or a total disaster or just pure chaos, we want to hear about it. You've had decades of experience. I don't even want to know the number of events you've attended, planned, helped orchestrate. So I'm sure you've got some stories because there's definitely some crazy Microsoft stories out
Oh,
there.
yeah, there are.
So
Yeah.
give us your event about it.
Yeah, I actually don't think I want to know about the number of events that I've done here, but I think there's actually two. One's a pretty quick story, but one was an event that I actually wasn't even at. It was someone on my team was running it. It was a significant event for Microsoft, and this person on my team is hilarious. Anyways, he's still in the event business, and he's just one of my favorite people. And it was an event in Boston, and so I'm sitting in Seattle 3 hours behind, and he's in Boston, and I'm just getting this endless text stream from him. And it was the day that the tunnel that they were building in Boston collapsed, and sadly somebody did pass away from it. So, but it created just a mass traffic mess in Boston that day. And so most of our buses were stuck trying to get to the convention center, and they couldn't get there. So they had to move back and start things late. One of those people stuck in traffic was Steve Ballmer, who was our CEO at the time and was giving the keynote. So that also was a bit of a problem. So they were scrambling to try and figure out, what do we do? What if Steve doesn't get here? How do we manage this? And then the next piece of it was that there was a catering, one of those, heat box things caught on fire. And so
Oh
they
my
had a fire drill at the convention center, which was also a massive mess. And so they were trying to figure that out. And then there was, little things along the way that he just kept sending me texts. And so then around noon his time, he's like, okay, I'm now in the staff office and I'm drinking because this has been an awful day. And so it worked out, but man, he and I still talk about that story, and just both of us kind of want to laugh and cry at the same time, because I'm sitting in Seattle helpless. It's like 6 a.m. I'm like, I don't know what to do to help you.
Well, and there's nothing really you can do from Seattle when they're in Boston. So, okay,
Right.
let's set the stage a little bit. So it's called the Big Dig when they
Mhm.
built all
Yes.
these tunnels to
Yes.
connect the Back Bay with
Right.
like downtown or
Right.
the
Right. And it
heart
just
of
opened.
Boston.
So
Yeah.
we're like so happy because we're like, it's going to be easier to get people around. And then, this horrible thing happened the morning
Yeah.
of our opening day.
So I'm guessing you guys were at the BCEC Convention Center. Everyone's in the Back Bay hotels, which
Mhm.
before the Big Dig to shuttle people back and forth was a long process. Like it was not a short drive. It's
Right.
much shorter now. So thank God for the Big
Right.
Dig.
Very
It's
happy about that now. Yes.
much travel. And it's never good when your like lead event person is
No.
opening a bottle and actively drinking at
Right.
lunchtime.
Right.
Never good.
And I was at that point, I'm like, I don't blame you.
Yeah, like you just at that point you just kind of roll with it. Like your CEO's stuck in traffic, your
Yeah.
keynote, your whole event is now late because
Right.
everyone is stuck in this traffic.
Right.
Do you
Yeah.
remember like how long it actually took? Like what was the resolve? You just pushed everything back and started
Everything.
late?
Right. Started late. So they got that going. And then that's when the fire happened. And so then they had a whole lot of other distractions. And so it was really, in the span of your life, it was 3 hours, right? And for the team that was on site too, it's a short amount of time, but it just felt like forever. And, the attendees probably didn't notice as much. I mean, obviously they knew that they were stuck on buses and that things were starting a little bit late, but I would imagine most attendees think back to that event, and that's not hopefully the first thing that they think about from it.
For sure. And my hope would be there was someone on the bus with a more optimistic demeanor. And sometimes those like chaos moments end up creating the most like serendipitous connections. Like if you're on a bus with people and you're kind of stuck there for a while, you end up this like trauma bonding with your other attendees. That sounds like a very extreme word, but like you get the point.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. And the thing that I loved most about Microsoft events, and I know still exists, is that it's like a family. Like the Microsoft staff as well as the vendor teams had, they have done Microsoft events for years, for literally decades, some people. And so it's like a family reunion when everyone gets together, and you trust the people that are there. They are, top of their game, very good at what they do. And so we all knew that we would figure these things out together. And that was some bonding as well. The stories that have come out of that have been quite entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, this was years ago and you guys are still talking about it. So obviously you have. And I think that's the importance of the team dynamic and like being able to trust your team, because obviously you're 3 hours away. There's nothing you can do. You have to have all the like blind faith and trust that they're going to figure it out.
Yeah, at that point, I was just merely moral support for him. I'm like, you've got this. It's going to be fine.
Last question on this crazy story. And like, there's no way to contingency plan for this, right? Like you can't predict it. I mean, maybe the fire alarm, you might have some, contingency plans for it, but did you guys adjust anything in your planning or contingency planning after this happened? Or it was just kind of like, this one was a fluke. Now we know what to do if it happens again, but like, there's nothing we could have done better.
Right. Yeah. Now I think actually what we did is we said, okay, what happened? How did we handle it? And is there anything to change? And I think that the plans that we had in place, because we had to have such strong contingencies in place for Microsoft as a whole, we just had to live that way. And so it all worked. And I think that was actually reassuring to everyone, is that we can handle really hard things and we're ready for it. People are such deep experts in the different areas that they were responsible for. Everyone just kind of jumped in and handled it. And, the person on my team at the time, he's now leading an event organization. So, it helped him mature in what he did as well, to go through those things. And yes. I think the sense of humor too was, we're like, we need to keep that. That needs to stay well. Safety plans, regulations, process is good, and humor. It's the two together.
Could not agree more.
My other story was when Bill Gates followed me through the back of the house of a hotel by accident. I'm like, come with me to the press. And he followed me. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, you told Seth to follow you. And I'm like, not you. The press.
I did have one program I ran. I had Melinda Gates as a speaker.
Oh, cool.
And I don't know how many miles we walked back of house, because her advanced team was very clear that she would not go front of house at all. And so wow. I walked them a million times to make sure I didn't get lost. And we had security and people from the building with us, but I was so nervous that I was going to get lost with Melinda, and then we would be late and it would be my fault.
Yeah, that would be a little stressful. I know. Whenever he came to events, because he was the CEO for the first 6 or 7 years I was there, and he was like a rock star to people. So you had to be super careful. But we had a press briefing that was back of stage that he came into to speak for a minute, and then he was supposed to leave. And so I said to the press, okay, follow me. And he just kept following. And I'm walking through the kitchen and I look over there. I'm like, what are you doing?
I could just see like Bill Gates standing in the kitchen of like the BCEC. Like just
when you said to follow you. And I'm like, well, wow, that's amazing that you did what I asked you to do.
That shows how much leadership and skill you have, that Bill Gates blindly followed you into the kitchen of a convention center.
It's very funny. Like, isn't there someone stopping you from doing this? He's like, no. Like,
I'm like, where's your
very
assistant?
about it. Yeah. It's very funny.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a great story. That's a great
Yeah.
story. Well, thanks for joining this episode of Event About It. Tell the people a little bit about you and where we can follow your amazing career.
Yeah, sure. So I am now at a company called BMC Software. I love it. I run, like we've talked about, some marketing parts of the marketing organization. We are a 40-plus-year-old company that has a long history of trust with our customers. I'm based in Seattle. The company's based in Houston, but I'm in Seattle. It's my hometown, and so happy to be here. And I am often on LinkedIn talking about my work, but most talking about leadership, mentorship, coaching. Those things are, being an introvert as a leader, those things are super important to me.
I absolutely love it. So we'll be sure to link to Katie's LinkedIn so you guys can follow along there. And that's today's episode of Event About It, where we connect events and marketing and prove that live experiences aren't just logistics, that they are growth channels. If this episode made you think differently about how events drive pipeline, brand, or growth, make sure you subscribe. That's how you'll catch what's coming next, including the Event About It after show, where Katie and I dig deeper into where planners need to skill up, introverted leadership, and moving from events into marketing. And don't forget, if you've got an event, a story, or a moment from the field that deserves to be unpacked, you can submit it at eventaboutitpodcast.com. Until then, keep growing, keep laughing, and keep eventing about it.